Okay, let's dive into this. We're looking at the absolute pinnacle of the automotive world today in this explainer, comparing the latest heavy-hitting models from two legendary titans. We're going to strip away all that shiny marketing gloss and get down to the true ownership reality: price, usability, performance, and of course, exclusivity.
I want you to think about this for a second. Imagine you're holding a checkbook right now, and you've got $4 million ready to deploy. Are you buying a machine that you can actually take out and blast through twisty mountain roads every weekend? Or do you want a spectacular, immaculate piece of rolling sculpture that's probably going to spend 99% of its life locked in a climate-controlled vault? That is the fundamental choice you face at the very top of the hypercar market. So here's the roadmap for how we'll break this multi-million-dollar matchup down. First, we'll meet the hypercar heavyweights. Then, we'll look at Ferrari and the usability reality. Next, Bugatti and the exclusivity reality. And finally, we'll wrap up with the final buyer verdict.
All right, part one, meet the hypercar heavyweights. Now, what's really interesting here is the sheer scale of the spectacle we're dealing with. Just look at this contrast. On one side, you have Ferrari's F80. It's a limited-run hybrid hypercar starting at $3.73 million. It pushes out 1,200 horsepower, does 0 to 100 in a blistering 2.15 seconds, and tops out at 350 kilometers an hour. Ferrari is capping this one at 799 units. But then, look across the aisle at Bugatti's answer, the Tourbillon. This thing utilizes a completely brand new 8.3-liter naturally aspirated V16 hybrid powertrain. It produces a frankly monstrous 1,800 PS, costs around $4.1 million, and is limited to just 250 units worldwide. Right out of the gate, we're seeing an incredible contrast in strategy and volume. Moving on to part two, Ferrari, the usability reality. So the biggest thing Ferrari has going for it is that they actually offer a surprisingly realistic variety of options for buyers who, actually want to drive their cars. They cover multiple budgets. Well, if you can call a $266,000 Amalfi Grand Tourer a budget car, you can start there, or you can go all the way up to the multi-million-dollar F80. Want a screaming V12? Go for the 12-cylindry. Need actual practicality? There's the Pro Sangue, which is Ferrari's first ever four-door, four-seat car. And the whole lineup is completely steeped in that emotional sound and Formula One derived technology. Plus, because Ferrari has a broader global buyer base and just way more cars on the road, finding a dealership, getting a service done, or ordering parts is practically so much easier. But, okay, there's a pretty serious reality check when you're buying a Ferrari. This sticker shock isn't just about the base price. Because honestly, those base prices hide the real truth. Take the new 849 Testarossa, for example. It's a 1,050 horsepower plug-in hybrid replacing the SF90, starting at a reported 460,000 euros. But by the time you add on special paint, all the carbon fiber, upgraded wheels, racing packages, and interior personalization, the final invoice absolutely skyrockets. It's wild. And here's the thing. Even if you have an open checkbook, you literally can't just walk in and buy whatever you want. Elite models like the F80 are strictly allocated. That means Ferrari handpicks their VIP clients and invites them to buy it. It's basically sold out before the public even knows it exists. Also, we have to talk about complexity. The F80 and the 849 Testarossa have these brilliant hybrid systems, but that means you're adding heavy batteries, electric motors, super complex software, and intense cooling systems. That long-term maintenance complexity adds a real ownership risk compared to the older naturally aspirated cars. And remember, while limited models like the F80 are highly collectible, your standard production Ferraris are definitely not guaranteed investments. They can and do depreciate based on mileage and market timing. All right, let's slow things down a bit for section 3. Bugatti, the exclusivity reality. 250. That is the absolute maximum number of tourbillons that Bugatti will ever produce for the entire planet. When you think about how massive the global wealth pool is, realizing that only 250 people will get to park that 1,800 PS V16 hybrid in their garage, it's just mind-blowing. But wait, it gets even rarer. 99. That's the strict production cap for the W16 Mistral. This is a hugely historically important car because it features the final 1,600 PS road-going W16 powertrain Bugatti will ever make. Just 99 of them in the world. And finally, for N40. That's the intensely restricted run of the Bugatti Bolide. This is their track-only hypercar. It costs a staggering 4 million euros net, and you can't even legally drive it on the street. It is literally the ultimate expression of shrinking supply. So, what does this all mean? The crucial takeaway here is that Bugatti's absolute biggest advantage is scarcity. Look, a Ferrari, as amazing as it is, can be spotted pretty regularly if you live in a wealthy city. But a Bugatti, that remains an absolute event. It literally stops traffic. It's less of a traditional sports car and way more of a collectible asset and a luxury object. I mean, just picture the Tourbillon's interior for a second. It features these watch-inspired analog instruments that look exactly like high-end Swiss horology. For buyers who demand the ultimate status and the most dramatic engineering story, Bugatti just offers unmatched theater. But that theatrical exclusivity comes with a pretty punishing reality. The service and running costs are, frankly, on another planet. Think about it. These cars are incredibly powerful, exceptionally wide, and astronomically expensive to insure. Like, where do you even safely park a $4 million masterpiece? You definitely can't just take it through poor roads or regular daily traffic. And for maintenance, you aren't just paying for a simple oil change. You're paying for specialized transport, high-level security, and bespoke tires that basically require taking out a second mortgage. You absolutely have to budget far, far beyond that initial $4.1 million purchase price. And there's one more catch you gotta consider: liquidity. Because a Bugatti is so incredibly rare and expensive, the buyer pool is tiny. If you buy a Ferrari and decide to sell it, there's a massive global market eager to take it off your hands. But selling a Bugatti? That's a whole process. Extreme rarity severely reduces your liquidity. To sell one, you generally need the right high-end broker, perfectly aligned timing, and a very, very specific buyer. Let's move to section 4 and see how this all builds up to our final buyer verdict. All right, here is your definitive matrix. If you're a buyer demanding daily or weekly use, Ferrari is your obvious choice, for sure, especially with practical entries like the Pura Sangue. But if you're chasing pure, unadulterated collector rarity, Bugatti wins hands down. For track performance, it's actually a really fascinating split. The Ferrari F80 delivers elite performance that you can legally drive on the road to actually get to the track, while the Bugatti Bolide is just an uncompromising track-only weapon. Now, if your passion leans toward luxury grand touring, sliding into a Ferrari Amalfi or feeling the emotion of the 12 Cylindri's V12 is going to be way more comfortable for a long weekend trip than wrestling with a Bugatti. On the flip side, if you want absolute, unquestionable, ultimate status, the Bugatti Tourbillon is rarer, more expensive, and delivers pure engineering drama. And lastly, looking at pure performance value for your money, Ferrari consistently gives you significantly more dynamic capability per dollar spent. And I think this brilliantly illustrates the final reality of the hypercar market. Both of these brands represent the absolute zenith of human engineering, but they serve two entirely different purposes. You buy a Ferrari if you want a machine you can fit into your lifestyle, service relatively easily, and that will absolutely thrill you on the open road. You buy a Bugatti if your goal is investment-grade collectability, ultimate status, and jaw-dropping rarity. So I'll leave you with this final thought. If you had the checkbook in your hand right now, are you buying for the road or for the vault?